All right, it is 9 a.m. Pacific time, and we'll go ahead and get started because we have a lot to cover today. So hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Paige, and I wanted to start off our session by thanking you for joining us today. As I said, we have a lot to cover on using SaaS for automating SOC 2 and ISO 27001. Our presenters are both industry-leading founders, and I'm excited for you to hear about their insights on security compliance. Ashwin Chaudhary is a founder and CEO of Asadir, and Paulo Tandon is the founder and CEO of ControlMap. So before we get started, let's talk about some housekeeping. With that, Arwa, I turn it over to you.
Thank you for that quick introduction, Paige. So before I hand over to our presenter, first will be Mr. Ashwin, and then we'll hand over to Mr. Pallav. So just a quick things, approximately our session will be for 1 hour. In the end 15 minutes, we'll have a quick Q&A section. So if you can see on your screen, there's a Q&A chat box. So after today's session, if you have any questions pertaining to the webinar, you can put it in the Q&A box, and our presenters will be addressing in those end 15 minutes. And simultaneously, we'll also be running our polls. And we'd really love and appreciate if you guys can, participate in the polls and give us your valuable feedback. So with that, now I'll hand over to Mr. Ashwin so we can begin with today's webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva, and welcome everybody. So I will start with the topic of today. So today's session, we are going to discuss that how tools can help automate compliance for SOC 2 and ISO IEC 27001. And before we start on this topic, I would like to give a disclaimer that and explain the relationship between SCDR and ControlMap. So under the AICPA rules, we have strict rules under independence for advertising, for referrals, etc. And we would like to state that SCDR is an auditor for ControlMap. That's the relationship, auditor and auditee relationship between ControlMap and SCDR. We do not have any marketing agreement or arrangement and between either of us, and we do not receive incentives from each other. And this presentation is purely for knowledge purposes as to what are the risks from AICPA perspective, how SOC 2 automation can help, and how tools such as ControlMap can help. And this is purely for knowledge purposes, and it is not for any other purposes that may deem fit. So this is what we'll be covering today about us and what's happening in the cybersecurity as current trends, the importance of SOC 2 and ISO IEC 27001, how AICPA looks at that, and what are the expectations from compliance automation, and then the benefits and configuring automation that Palla will speak about. So quickly, we are a CPA firm based out of Denver, Colorado. We have an office in Mumbai. So we operate out of the 2 locations. We are listed with PCOAB as auditors. We are one of the 15-20 odd companies who are empaneled by Cloud Security Alliance as auditors. And we are also an ISO IEC certification body. Some of the services that we provide is SOC test reports, certifications, privacy, US federal assessments, India assessments, etc. Many of you may know me. I've been in the industry for almost 20 years in the cyberspace, and I have total about 40 years of industry experience. I've been an auditor for almost many companies. I've audited about Fortune 100 companies in cyberspace for data security and privacy. I am qualified as CPA and MBA and have many global cybersecurity certifications which are presented here. I have been also a speaker in so many forums, and some of my media articles are provided here. If you can search for me, you may find some of those articles in ISACA magazine, ISACA publications, in newspapers, etc. So quickly, we will set the stage for what is happening today in the cybersecurity space. Right, the cybersecurity or the information security market is about $190 billion expected to be in 2023. We have less than 50% entities who have an internal audit program. The cybercrime was about $6 trillion in 2021 and is expected to be about $10.5 trillion by 2025. 95% of the cybersecurity breaches are caused by humans. 81% of the entities have sensitive SaaS data exposed. Data breaches were caused 36 billion records in the first half of 2020. Some figures on the cloud security. We have 591.8 billion estimated market size for cloud services, out of which SaaS is the highest at 195. Right. So this is some of the figures from Gartner, just to set the tone of how big is the cloud security services market. So I will start with a small case study, which is again a SaaS service, Microsoft Office 365. Due to misconfiguration, right, the US entity found that all sensitive data were leaked out, right? So I'm not going to discuss the case study in detail, but I'm just trying to set the context that just because it is a SaaS product does not mean that it is automatically secure. The security has to be done, configured rather, correctly by the entities who are using it, right? And to make sure that everything is aligned in and securely configured. So you need to monitor, you need to configure, you need to even evaluate your SaaS product that you're going to use, be it Microsoft 365 or any other SaaS product. So we'll quickly look at the importance of SOC 2 and ISO. So both these tools are third-party risk assurance tools, right? And why they are regarded as risk assurance tools? Because 82% of the organizations use third parties for data. Right? You share data, you use data, and these are the two major tools that provide assurance on the data security and privacy controls. The other method is that entities used to send Excel sheets as to what is your data security and privacy controls, right? And you or entities used to fill in those sheets and return to those sheets. It used to take a long time for organizations to understand the security posture of the organization. So these two tools help organizations to look at the data security and privacy posture of the organizations, right? Otherwise, sending in Excel sheets and getting a response in less than 2 days also is an issue with everybody. 75% of the vendors still use questionnaires, right? Going back and forth, it takes a lot of time in understanding that report, and 87% of the organizations do not have staffing for third-party risk management. So risk management in many organizations is just a checkbox, and including large organizations. I'm not talking about small organizations who are short-staffed in cyberspace, but even large organizations do not evaluate third-party risks correctly. It's just a checkbox. Either they have a SOC 2 or they have an ISO. That's the status even now. So as I said, these two certifications, or the attestation and certification, is most popular. About 25% of all the organizations use ISO 27001, and about 22% use SOC 2. 35% still use internally developed Excel sheets, and about 27% use PCI. PCI is not relevant for us because it's still only limited to cardholder data. So since these two tools, assurance tools, are most important, it gives an advantage to organizations to have an integrated audit for both of those tools. SED does provide integrated audits, which saves time and money for many of these organizations. Now we'll quickly start with some of the risks that AICPA has provided, and this document is available on AICPA site. And I would like to enable everybody to understand those risks when they use tools, SaaS tools, for any purposes, not just SOC 2 compliance, but any use. Like we just saw the case study of Office 365, right? If this tool is not configured correctly, the risks are not impacted correctly, it will not give you right results, and you may have a data breach in your organization. So AICPA states that in SOC 2 examination, the risks arise from the service organization's use of a SOC 2 tool or any tool, right? So, furnishing the service auditor with incorrect information could result in erroneous opinion on the SOC 2. So if the data is incorrect, the SOC 2 is also is incorrect. Inadequate understanding of the effect of services provided by tool provider. So many of the tools we will see what they claim, but if the understanding of the tool is incorrect, right, the output also is incorrect. So many of the tool providers or the organizations themselves who are using those tools do not have the skills and the competency, and they rely on those tools. So that is also incorrect, and that is a risk also to be factored into. So SOC 2's predefined list of common controls, right, without tailoring to the service organization's controls. So that's another risk. If you're just using the tool without tailoring it to your environment, right, just because somebody else or the default controls may not apply to you, you need to look at the controls that apply to you. You need to customize the tool for your environment, specifically risk management, and of course the controls that is implemented into your environment. So it also says service organization uses a SOC 2 tool to aggregate documentation for the service auditor. So that's the risk which it looks at evaluating accuracy and completeness of the information provided by tool. So some of the tools may have only half of the information. So the tools are only basically a placeholder. If the service organization uploads incorrect, the tool does not know what is uploaded, right? It may not have analytical capability. So that is a risk. So we need to review the information that the tool provides, review it correctly, perform the test of controls, whether we are getting a correct report out of the tool also or not, or whether it's meeting our needs also or not. That is what AICPA is stating in these points. Now the next point is the method that will be used to describe the services provided by the tool. Now, some tools may provide you a description of the system. If you are all aware that SOC 2 requires a description of controls to be made. The tool may or not provide you a description of controls. The description of controls need to be customized specifically for your specific environment. The tool may help in putting that in place, but still the customization will need to be done manually by you. The tool may not be able to do automatically. Identifying and assessing the risks of doing business with the sub-service organization. So if the tool that you're using does not have a SOC 2 or ISO, that becomes a sub-service organization for the service organization itself. And we need to evaluate those risks before we engage with such tools. Designing, implementing, and operating the controls to mitigate those risks. Of course, we need to design. That's the service organization's responsibility. And monitoring the services performed by the tool company itself, right? So these are some of the risks that AICPA provides, and that document is available on AICPA site. You can Google search it. If you don't find it, send us an email. We'll be happy to provide you that. Now, over the last few years, we are seeing that so many tools have come up in the market, and some of them are giving some commitments. And we would like just take a quick look at what commitments are they giving, and whether they are real commitments or they are just marketing talks. Some of them may be marketing talks. That's what is our thought, and that's what this webinar is for today, in some aspect of that. Now, if we closely look at what is stated by one of the organizations, it says breeze through security compliances, takes away the burden and the burnout of figuring out security compliances with pre-approved auditor-grade compliance programs that you can launch in a matter of clicks. This says that it combines technical expertise with people focused with advisory to break through compliance down into simple human terms and tasks, work with a dedicated compliance expert, and get access to support team. They are available 18 hours a day across the time zones, from risk assessment, all the way to audit advisory, etc., etc. Right? The next provides that we get instant stay compliant. Thousands of fast-growing companies depend on these automated tools for security monitoring, and simply connect your tools to fix the gaps in the dashboard and complete the entire thing, right? So automated, now trust has become automated. That's what it gives the feeling. And we have an audit ready and full support and security compliance experts who have built these tools, right? See, the point I'm trying to make is some of the tools are giving a wrong notion or incorrect notion to the people who are going to use it. If I read through all of these, it seems that as if it is, I just need to take the tool, configure it, and it's going to be automated. Everything is going to be SOC 2 ready. That may not be the case, right? So I have about 4 to 5 points which I would like to make before I hand it over to Pallav to take his opinion. I may be incorrect, but this is what we feel, that some of the tools are marketing what they shouldn't be, like they're saying audit ready and auditor with stuff with the auditor background and all those things. So it's giving an impression as if the tools are going to audit and they are the external auditors. And once the tool is configured, the SOC 2 and ISO are automatically configured and companies become automatically compliant. And the companies who are, and we get this call from customers where we have taken XXXX tool and now just log in the tool and issue the SOC 2 report in 2 days time. It doesn't happen. So we want you to understand what tools can do, what tools cannot do, and so that the expectations are set from tools. Of course, tools are great. I'm not denying tools are not great. Such tools are really the need of the hour. They do excellent work, but we should know where is the line that we need to draw in these tools, right? The first point I want to make is tools are not a substitute to external auditors. You will still need an auditor like us or anybody to evaluate what is provided in the tool, whether it meets the purposes, whether the risks are factored or not factored. Because at the end of the day, only a CPA firm and a qualified security professional can audit your environment and issue you the SOC 2 report. No tool can issue the SOC 2 report because the SOC 2s are by default issued by CPA firms like us. So the tools may say anything, it does not mean anything because it's not the liability of the tool. Tools are helping you. They don't have any liability. They're not governed under AICPA. They're not governed under any law. They're not governed under anything. So they can state anything. A CPA firm cannot state like this, what is stated by those tools, right? Half of them may be right, may not be right. I do not know. I don't want to comment on each and every specific tools, but if I just read from what we just saw in these slides, it seems that they're going to do everything and an external auditor is not required. They are going to do everything and just give you a report, a SOC 2 report will come out of the tool. That's what it indicates. And we got this feedback from many potential customers that such tools, and many of the customers are even struggling to use such tools in spite of spending 3 months, 6 months. They're not able to get to what they want from these tools. And I know of so many customers who have migrated from one tool to the other and still they are doing half of the things manually also. So tools are not a substitute to external auditors. That's the first point. The second point is tools can help collect all information in one place, but cannot automate compliance. I would like to say whatever they have stated in their ads, compliance cannot be automated. Let's understand all of that. The compliance or not is an auditor's discretion, not a tool's discretion. Tool can help you, yes, help you get to that level, but there's no automatic compliance, right? You need an in-depth knowledge of cybersecurity, understanding the CIA, and look at whether the control will really meet the need for the risk or not, right? That is what it is important. A tool cannot do that. If for example, if I have a screenshot of an antivirus solution implemented in our entity and I upload for all of those controls, the tool will mark it as compliant. Automatically, all controls are fulfilled and it gives you 100% SOC 2 ready. But that is not the case, right? We need to evaluate whether the particular artifact that was uploaded for a specific control meets the control objective, or in the case of ISO, or the point of focus in the case of SOC 2. And that only a knowledgeable auditor can do. No tool will be able to do that. At least I've not seen it till date. So tools help organize data, but analyzing and evaluation of data is solely the auditor's responsibility. Absolutely. Tool will say, yes, everything is done, everything is complete, it will give you 100% results, give nice dashboards, fancy dashboards, everything good, looking good. But at the end of the day, what is uploaded is not at all relevant to the control objective or the point of focus. What is the use of that? Again, we have to do manual effort. And also, many of the customers say that, oh, now we have a tool, everything is automated. So what do you need to do? Everything the tool is going to do, we don't need auditors. That is not the case. That is not right. Right? That is not a right perception. Tools do help, right, to work on internal coordination. Yes, perfect. Tools are very good to assign tasks to anybody. It's a good placeholder. It'll give you reminders. It'll say you this is not done. These are the things pending. Right? It will help you reduce your internal work, but does not reduce external auditors' work. External auditor in this case of SOC 2 still needs to review and the entire 30-page description of controls. He still needs to look at all the 300 controls, match it with the description of controls, match it with the artifacts that has been provided or not. And that is a lot. And it needs to form an opinion whether the artifacts provided, whether the controls implemented meet the points of focus or the control objective or not. That no tool till today I've seen is able to do that. It reduces a lot of internal work. It reduces a lot of in-house work. I am fully 100% agreeing to that, right? But organizations ask, oh no, reduce the 50 of audit cost by 50%, 40% because we have a tool now. It doesn't happen like this. External auditors' work is not at all reduced. Now, many of these tools are also, contemplating that they have auditors with them. They can do consulting for them. They can, evaluate whether this is correct or not. It's not right. You need qualified cybersecurity professionals to evaluate all of those criteria. Cybersecurity professionals are very, very scarce these days. If you see, there are 500,000 jobs open for cybersecurity professionals, and the professionals are in great demand and not easily available. So it's not that the tool will automatically do. They may provide you help desk support. They may provide you all the support, but I have my doubts that they will have a very highly qualified people with them to analyze the quality of the artifacts and the quality of work that they do. In one of the tools we have found that the risk assessment and the management, what they claim to be, was not at all in line with the ISO standard. Right? And we struggled a lot. We had back and forth meetings with the tool and our client and etc. It did not meet the basic fundamental risk management system itself, which is the core of the cybersecurity itself. Right? So the point I'm trying to make here is only certified auditors can match the relevance of the evidence with the point of focus and or the control objective. The tool will not be able to do that. No tool will be able to do that. So tools are excellent for internal coordination, but do not reduce external auditors' work, right? And now that's all I had to make, and I'll now hand it over to Pallav to correct me wherever I'm wrong and to put forth his points and talk about ControlMap also. Over to you, Pallav.
Hey, thank you, Ashwin. I hear a lot of echo. Just give me a second. Let me share my screen. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay and see my screen.
Pallav, we can hear you fine. Yeah, we can see your screen also. Yes, go ahead.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Ashwin. Thanks for your presentation, and as usual, it's always very insightful to hear you speak, and that's why we love you. We have you as an auditor, and as all of you probably heard him say, Ashwin keeps us very honest during our audits, and him and his team does a very detailed and thorough job on our controls. Make us very confident and look good in front of all our partners and customers. So thanks, Ashwin. I will start quickly. Just 1 second. Here you go. Just 1 second, okay. I'm not able to get to my. All right. So quickly, for people who don't know me, my name is Paulo Tandon. I am CEO and founder of ControlMap. We started in around 2018, 2019, and it has been an exciting journey for us. My key goal here today is to help you learn a thing or two about cybersecurity compliance automation. Means I have to change my, I will change my script on fly based on what Ashwin has said, but just please bear with me. But I'll try to keep it very close to what automation means, what its scope is, how it can really help, because we really believe that it can help you a lot, reducing the work that you do, reducing the risk of findings during your audits and overall in your compliance project. Also, what I'll do is I'll try to pull ControlMap and show how you can configure some of the systems, what data it pulls in, what action items it creates for you, so that you have a better picture of what you want to do with that automation and the insights that you see. So quickly, a very quick, I'll not spend much time, but introducing ControlMap, if you don't know. We are a software platform for helping customers achieve cybersecurity compliance. The best way to look at us is that we are a control center for all your cybersecurity compliance operations. We're not calling it a automation tool. We have a significant piece of automation which we will talk about today. But what we are really proud of, in our system is that how everything comes together, how pieces of risks are linked to assets and they are linked to controls, and controls is linked to evidence. So we really bring a seamless view of how you operate your cybersecurity compliance project under one hood. That's kind of what we do. How we do is kind of what Ashwin also mentioned. Right? The first thing we do, the platform does, is it helps you organize all your work. There are many moving parts, from controls to policies to risk, collecting evidence. The different parties involved, external, internal. So we just help you organize all of it so that you have a view of where the gap is, what you have to focus on and stuff like that. The other thing the platform helps you do is make it a team effort. What it means is, you can of course work out of a spreadsheet, but very soon you will see everybody has their own spreadsheet. A platform like ControlMap keeps everybody honest, tells the whole team where they are, where they have to focus on, what work they have to do, and collaborate to achieve this kind of a team goal and a company goal. Then it helps you automate a lot of work which can be automated, right? A repetitive grunt work which you're downloading documents, uploading documents, looking at a report. It can connect to various systems, pull in that data. Again, evaluation, as Ashwin said, we're not evaluating the data. It's up to the external auditors to do it. But it helps you bring all the data so that you can see where the gaps are, what you have to do, and act on it, basically. And then many times overlooked is monitoring continuously your compliance posture. What you're doing, is it sufficient? Are you, is something falling through the cracks? Is something changing? So that has to be continuously monitored. Audit and evaluation is a one-time thing in a year, but they look back 12 months. So you have to be on top of your game continuously. So again, that's where I think a tool or a platform or a software brings in the most value, because it's very hard to monitor something manually on a regular basis. A tool helps you do that. I understand for today we're going to focus on the two areas for compliance, and the reason is there is a lot of work overall, but if you focus on these two, that's where your real time and money saving is. If you can automate everything that you do on a regular basis, it saves you hours, it saves you resources and person. So that's what we will focus on. And what I believe personally, that it's not only time and money that you are saving, it's also reducing the risk. If you are on top of your game, if you're not letting anything fall through the cracks and missing on action items, you are having successful audits. You just have a better, more secure, and a compliant information system management. Right? So that's the ROI for a tool like that. Now the question is, what can be automated? You have to do hundreds of things, right? From identifying assets and vendors that are there in your company, assessing the risks on each one of them. Some vendors are obviously high risk, some are low risk. Some information systems are high risk, some are low risk. So you have to do all that assessment, establish policies and procedures around that, implement controls to address those risks and make sure that you're mitigating and building the right systems for those risks. So doing all that work, right, and then maintaining and collecting control evidence along with it is a continuous stream of work. And once you're done with that, somebody like Ashwin or external auditor comes in and evaluates everything that you have done from 1 to 5. Right now, we don't claim that everything from 1 to 5 can be automated. What we believe and where I see the most value or the biggest ROI is to automate, maintaining your controls or monitoring your controls, and also automate collecting evidence. Now, you can't just automate everything. 100% of collection. There's always be some manual component to it. But as much as you can automate pulling in the data that you need or the reports that you need, that goes a long way reducing the work you do. Now the question is, why is it a big deal, right? Why do we really have to think about automating and collecting evidence or maintaining controls? The reason being, even with a small company, we consider last year we considered ourselves a smaller, or a year before we considered ourselves a smaller company, but we still had hundreds of controls that we had to monitor. So no matter what your size is, even the smallest company would probably have hundreds of controls. Just because they are in a business, they'll have to maintain and monitor. The more number of applications and information systems you use, the more number of controls apply on each one of them. So there's a multiplicative factor here. The bigger you grow, the more applications you bring in, the more teams you bring in, the amount of monitoring and the risk that you're adding grows. So you have to kind of keep track of it. You can obviously hire a big team to do that, but a piece of software, if it could help taking some of that work off your plate, I think that goes a long way. And quickly, some examples before I jump into the product side and the demo. So this is these are some of the common requests out of 150 requests that you would get. Is checking if MFA is enabled on all SaaS applications. I kind of picked up where it applies in ISO and SOC 2, just to give a little more relevance to it. But if you see, on an average, a company uses 15 or more SaaS applications. They're owned by different departments. The MFA status keeps changing. Now, just to keep track of all that, it's a lot of manual work. You can have somebody submit the reports every week. You can have somebody take screenshots. But just think of amount of hours you're wasting somebody just logging in, going to the right page and taking a picture of it. The other example is checking things like, if your databases are encrypted or all the data storages are encrypted. First of all, it's not easy to check. You need to know where to go and check that configuration. You need different admin permissions or people to be able to pull that report for you. And then ensuring that is always on is another activity. And it just very expensive to track or collect that information or keep collecting that evidence on a monthly or a weekly or a quarterly basis, whatever your frequency would be. And again, a simple example of collecting the asset and people data. It's all data. It's available in different systems, but still somebody has to aggregate and pull all that in and link all of it together. So overall, what we're looking at is, only for these three controls, if you just add the number of hours, it amounts to hundreds of hours just doing that work. And missing that or missing a piece of insight that you should have seen 2 months back and it's showing up during audit, it just increases the risk of failure. Right? So that's where we believe that automation can help. It's not automating an end-to-end process, but I think the work that the data which lies in different systems and the data which has to be looked upon by somebody or the system has to evaluate and send alerts to somebody saying that, hey, this is something that we should look at. That's where I think the real value of automations and integrations lie, in maintaining those controls and in collecting those evidence. And as much as can be automated, we strive to automate that. I will quickly switch into the demo. What I want to show is AWS environment where we have connected to it, pulling in some data from it and linking it back to controls. And before I do that, just a quick overview of how we look at automating as much as we can. So we are we have hooks into around 40 systems where we pull as much data as the APIs allow, or as much as is possible to keep it in sync. So we have built those connected, and we keep adding on a very regular basis. And then we take all the checks that we do on these systems and map it to different frameworks. And that's kind of what we will look at in an AWS environment. So having said that, just give me 1 second while I switch my screens. Okay. All right. So you should be able to see the AWS.
Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So quickly, just going back, I think there was a question that I saw earlier, that how do you really start your kind of automation journey? So this is like our catalog of systems that we connect to. And there are a variety of systems based on the importance to compliance. So we have all the cloud infrastructure providers. We have identity providers which you can connect to. And I kind of want to go into AWS. And when we connect to AWS and pull in the data, we organize it into essentially three buckets, okay, which helps in making some compliance decisions and creating action items. So we have around 50, I think it's around 40 or 48 or 50 checks that we do in a AWS environment, and this is all automatically done. Things like are the backups retained, or if you have a Redshift cluster, if it is encrypted, if the logging is enabled, and you can see all of these are mapped to controls. All these checks that are automatically performed, there are results here. There are pass, there are fail. This is the aspect of monitoring it on a regular basis. Green tells everything is okay. Red tells there was a failure. These reports are always also available as PDFs that you can download. So essentially, what is happening is you are monitoring the system. You're collecting the evidence that this is the date that you looked at this control, and everything was green. and there is a snapshot of it. Again, evaluation of this, the snapshot is correct, or it's left to the external auditors. They might want to see this snapshot and also in the AWS console, which is absolutely fine. But the idea is that when something fails, that there is a gap that you have to fix. For every control that we check, let's look at this one. Like ensure no groups are allowed, or your ports are not publicly open. Our system, as I said, helps you understand why that is important, right? It's good to have no ports open to the public, but it also tells that it's required because ISO has a requirement of securing application services, or SOC 2 has a requirement to detect unauthorized access, or NIST CSF or TextRamp, or any number of frameworks could be served just by adding this check on your AWS console. And this is fairly automated, right? You can see it was failing, and then now it's passing, right? Because the infrastructure team went and did what was required to fix it. These are the compliance checks. Fulfilling the framework requirements, also collecting evidence, helping you monitor and fix it. And just think about all the 50 checks being done by somebody in the AWS environment and just taking screenshots of these. The other bucket is access review. This is in no means replacing an access management tool, but what it gives overview into is who has access to this system, what role do they have MFA enabled or not, are they admins on the system or not. You can always go and check which accounts don't have a user assigned to it. So there are decisions you can make just to fulfill your compliance controls and make sure that all accounts are assigned to people, MFA is missing and stuff like that. And while we collect all the access information, we are also collecting all the assets from AWS and automatically populating your asset inventory in the system. Again, you don't have to regularly keep a tab on what databases you have, what systems you have enabled on AWS. We can pull all that and kind of show. The other good thing that you can automatically see is, let's look at something which is passing. This is a bucket, and it is passing encryption control, right? You can look at this policy, and it's failing because somebody has administrative access. So you can individually look at assets and see what is failing, have somebody correct the situation, and just make sure the control is passing, right? So I know I have 2 more minutes left before we give it back for Q&A. But overall, that's the value that we see, right? Just by connecting a system like AWS, you have so much more insight on how compliant you are. You're taking care of best practices. Where your gaps are. You're making the right decisions with the insights, and also making sure all your requirements and controls are being met. So that's it saves a lot of time, gives you a lot of value. And just multiplied by 30, 40 odd systems that you might have, the ROI for a software tool is right there. Now, as Ashwin said, there is a full workflow of going through your risk register, documenting your policies, reviewing, approving all of them. That's still done. It could be manual, automated, depending on how the customer sees it and does it. But the real value that we see is in these integrations to pull data in and and make your life easier. So yeah, that's it from my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions and answers, and I'll hand it back over to visit Paige or Arva. I guess you guys can take back the control.
Oh, good. I'll go ahead and manage the Q&A session here. So everyone, there is a Q&A box at the left-hand side of your screen. At the top menu, you'll see Q&A. Go ahead and add any questions that you may have directly to that chat function. And we can hang out here for a few minutes to see if any questions come through. Great presentation today, both presenters.
I think I'll read out the question and Pallav, maybe you can take it up. The question is, can we discuss in detail how automation is implemented for management of compliance?
Correct. And this is kind of what we briefly touched upon. I think there are two aspects to it. One is, you look at what information systems you have, and what data can you pull in based on the controls that you have, right? So if you have a control to enable MFA for Active Directory, enable MFA for AWS, enable MFA for Google Workspace. You look at those three systems, you connect those three systems, and ControlMap helps you look at if or not. So you kind of prioritize your highest risk systems, look at what your high priority controls are, look at the integrations available, make those integrations and pull in that control and start monitoring them. Right? So that's kind of the first step. And then, then you also, the second step is you look at, what your audit needs are, right? SOC 2, ISOs. And then look at the requirements, look at how much work or, how much evidence that you have to collect. And if something can be replaced from a manual to a connected system, go do that. But essentially, it all boils down to looking at your systems, looking at the integrations available, making those connections, and pulling that data in and start monitoring it. The next question is, how do you export the findings from your tool? I guess the findings are probably under the framework section. There is a report, which is called a full assessment report or an assessment detailed report. It's a Word document, I believe, and it gives you a list of findings. There's also assessment export, which links up the assessment questions to the findings. So you can export that and have a list of findings. I don't know if only findings can be exported. The findings are always exported along with the question for which the finding was found, I guess. So that's the next question.
Looks like that's all we've got for Q&A. If anyone has any questions after we close the webinar, you are more than welcome to reach out to us. Both teams, we are more than happy to assist you and help get you jump started with your compliance journey. Any final thoughts from anyone else? All right, well, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We appreciate you joining us live here today. This presentation was recorded, so we'll be sending a recording to you shortly, so you'll be able to reference it later. So thanks so much, and signing off from the team today. Thank you, Ashwin and Paula, for your great presentations today, and we will see you soon. Stay tuned for more events.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Paige. Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Pallav.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye. Take care.